chosen one. Watch them bow to your success. There's a very specific kind of silence that settles into a room after you've been betrayed. It's heavy. It pulls the oxygen right out of your lungs. You gave them your warmth, your loyalty, your absolute best, and they handed you a dagger in the dark. Have you ever felt that exact, crushing weight? I want to hear your real story in the comments below, because this space is for honest conversations. Putting together these stories takes hours of dedication. So if this channel brings you peace, you can buy me a coffee using the Ko-Fi link in the description. Your volunteer support keeps this space alive. You didn't ask for this. That is the hardest truth to swallow when you are standing in the wreckage of a bond you thought was unbreakable. You didn't ask to be the collateral damage in someone else's messy, unresolved story. You just wanted to love them. You just wanted to be a friend, a partner, a beacon of something steady in a world that constantly shifts and shakes. But they couldn't handle the light you carried. It's a strange phenomenon, isn't it? How your goodness can actually irritate the demons in someone else. How your integrity acts like a mirror, reflecting back all the corners they've been trying so desperately to hide from themselves. So, instead of stepping up to meet your grace, they tore you down. They threw dirt on your name. They walked away, leaving you to hold the bags of a guilt that never belonged to you in the first place. And the worst part? The absolute worst part is the silence that follows. You sit there in the aftermath, staring at the walls of a quiet room, waiting for an apology that feels like a ghost. You replay the memories, over and over and over. You trace the timelines, looking for the exact moment the rope snapped, asking yourself what you could have done differently. You fracture your own peace trying to make sense of their chaos. It hurts. It hurts in a way that goes far beyond just sadness. It is a deep, bone-aching exhaustion. It's the exhaustion of being the bigger person. Society tells us to take the high road, to let it go, to turn the other cheek and walk away with our heads held high. But no one talks about how incredibly lonely the high road actually is. No one talks about the biting wind up there. No one talks about how cold it gets when you are standing on top of your own integrity, shivering, while the people who hurt you seem to be down below, gathered around a warm fire, laughing as if they can just burn your house down to get the firewood. It feels profoundly unfair. You watch them move on. You watch them spin the narrative. You hear the whispers of the story they sold to everyone else. The story where you're the villain, and they are the victim. And you have to bite your tongue. You have to swallow the truth, so hard it feels like broken glass sliding down your throat. Because you know that defending yourself right now is useless. They don't want the truth. They want a scapegoat. So you wear the blame. You put on that heavy, heavy coat, and you walk out into the rain. There are nights when the injustice of it all keeps you awake, staring at the ceiling until the dark turns into a bruised, early morning blue. You wonder if the universe is broken. You wonder if karma is just a fairy tale we tell ourselves to feel better about the monsters that get away with murder. You gave so much of yourself. You poured your soul into an empty cup, and all you got in return was a realization that some people are just bottomless pits. You feel used, discarded, like an old piece of furniture left out on the curb in the rain, forgotten by the very people you sheltered. And the grief is entirely your own. Because of the rest of the world, it's just a falling out, just a breakup, just a shift in dynamics. But to you, it was a profound shattering of reality. You trusted them. You gave them the map to your most vulnerable places, and they used it to navigate a precision strike right at your core. It is perfectly okay to be angry. It is perfectly okay to feel a dark, twisting knot of resentment pulling tight in your chest. You do not have to smile through this. You do not have to immediately forgive them just because a quote on the internet told you that holding on to anger is like drinking poison. Sometimes the anger is the only thing keeping you warm. Sometimes the anger is the only boundary you have left to protect whatever fragile pieces of your heart are still intact. You are mourning a living person. You are mourning the illusion of who you thought they were. And as you stand there in the ruins, bleeding out from wounds they refuse to acknowledge, a quiet, dangerous thought begins to take root in the back of your mind. You look at the mess they made. You look at the arrogance in their eyes as they walk away, so incredibly sure that they won, so completely confident that they broke you. They think this is the end of the story. They think they have buried you. They do not realize what kind of seed they just planted in the dark. You are allowed to sit in this desolate place. You are allowed to let the tears fall, hot and heavy, onto the cold floor. Let the grief wash over you in great, crashing waves that threaten to pull you under. Do not fight the current. The descent is a necessary part of the journey. You have to feel the absolute bottom of this abyss before you can ever hope to climb out. You have to understand the depth of their betrayal to truly comprehend the magnitude of your own resilience. But right now, in this moment, there is no silver lining. There is just the raw, ugly truth of what was done to you. The sickening realization that the people you would have taken a bullet for were the ones standing behind the trigger. It is a lonely, brutal reality. You are the one left to clean up the mess. You are the one tasked with rebuilding the temple they vandalized. And as you sit there, surrounded by the debris, wiping the dust from your face, you realize something terrifying. You are completely on your own. The cavalry is not coming. The apologies are not in the mail. The closure you are so desperately craving from them does not exist, because they are entirely incapable of giving it to you. You are in the dark, and it is so very, very quiet. But then something shifts. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a sudden flash of cinematic lightning that magically fixes the cracks in your chest. It is slower than that, quieter. One morning you wake up and the air doesn't feel quite so heavy. The silence in the room isn't suffocating anymore. It's just empty space. Think about a forest right after a devastating wildfire. The ground is scorched black. The air smells like ash and ruin. To anyone walking through that wreckage, it looks like the end of the world. It looks like death has claimed absolute victory. But beneath the soil, shielded from the flames, the heat has actually forced the seeds of the most resilient trees to crack open. They needed the fire. Without the absolute destruction of the canopy above, those seeds would never have seen the sunlight required to grow. The fire didn't come to destroy the forest. It came to clear the rot. It came to make room for something so massive, so deeply rooted, that no future storm could ever tear it down. That is what they did to you. They thought they were the fire that would reduce you to ash. They thought their departure would leave you barren and hollowed out for the rest of your life. They didn't realize they were just clearing the canopy. You see, there is a fundamental law of the universe that people who operate from a place of malice completely fail to understand. Energy doesn't just disappear. It transforms. All that love, all that fierce loyalty, all that unbreakable dedication you poured into them, it didn't vanish just because they walked away. It bounced back. It was deflected off their hardened shells, and now it is returning to the source. It is returning to you. You start to pull your energy back. You start to pour that intense, terrifying love into your own foundation. And that is when the true transformation begins. That is when you stop being the victim of their story and start becoming the architect of your own. You are not broken. You are pruned. A master gardener doesn't cut branches off a prize rose bush because he hates the plant. He cuts them off because those branches are draining the lifeblood away from the roots. He cuts them so the plant can explode into a bloom so fierce and vibrant it demands the attention of the entire garden. They were the dead weight. They were the branches pulling you down, keeping you small, demanding your energy, while giving you absolutely nothing in return. Their betrayal was brutal, yes, but it was also the sharp snap of the pruning shears. You are free, and this is the part they never see coming. This is the part that will eventually keep them awake at night, because while you are in the dark, quietly rebuilding, they are out there in the world, running the exact same plays. They're wearing the same masks, playing the same games, looking for the next person to drain. But people like that have a shelf life. The universe has a very strict accounting system. The bills always come due. One day, the mask slips. One day, the people they surround themselves with see the hollow reality behind the charm. The superficial bridges they built will inevitably collapse because they were constructed on a foundation of sand and manipulation. And when that happens, they will look around for a lifeboat. They will remember the one person who actually gave a damn. The one person who stood by them when the rest of the world turned its back. The one person whose loyalty was pure, untainted, and real. They will remember you. But you won't be in the same place anymore. You won't be standing in the ruins waiting for their ghost to return. You will have built a fortress. You will have taken all the agonizing grief and spun into a quiet, unshakable power. You will carry a different kind of gravity. They will try to find you in other people. That is the quiet tragedy of their existence. They will move from person to person, seeking that same unconditional warmth you provided so freely. But they won't find it, because what you offered wasn't a standard, off-the-shelf kind of connection. It was rare. It was a kind of devotion that takes a lifetime to forge and a fraction of a second to destroy. They will sit in crowded rooms and feel entirely alone. They will hear someone laugh, and for a split second, they will think it's you. They will reach for their phone to text you about something mundane, only to remember the bridge is burned. The ashes settled. The shift is happening right now, deep in your bones. You are evolving from someone who needs validation into someone who simply exists as a force of nature. A mountain doesn't ask the wind for permission to stand tall. A river doesn't apologize to the rocks it carves its way through. They will look at you from a distance, and they will see the magnitude of what they threw away. The realization won't hit them all at once. It will be a slow, agonizing drip of regret, a creeping awareness that they held a diamond in their hands and threw it into the ocean because they thought it was just a piece of glass. They will watch you rise. They will watch you walk with a grace they could never comprehend, a strength they can only imitate. They will see the peace in your eyes, a peace they desperately lack in their own chaotic lives. And in that quiet, devastating moment of clarity, the gravity of their mistake will finally crush them. They will come back. It is the oldest cliche in the book, but it is remarkably, undeniably true. When the world has finally chewed them up and spit them out, they will come looking for the safety they once found in you. They will ask for forgiveness. They will send a late-night text. They will make the unexpected phone call. They will stand at your door with a carefully rehearsed speech, their eyes heavy with the manufactured sorrow of 1,000 regrets. They will offer you the apology you once stayed up until 3 in the morning begging the universe to give you. You will look at the phone screen lighting up in the dark. You will see their name, the name that used to make your heart skip a beat, the name that used to drop your stomach into a bottomless pit. And you will feel nothing, just a quiet, resounding stillness. Here is the beautiful, tragic irony of it all. By the time they are finally ready to offer you that closure, you won't need it anymore. You won't want it. You will look at them, really look at them, and you won't see the giant who broke your heart. You won't see the untouchable villain of your story. You will just see a person. A flawed, fragile, terribly ordinary person who made a catastrophic mistake they now have to live with for the rest of their life. You won't feel the burning urge for revenge. You won't feel the desperate need to make them hurt the way they hurt you. The anger that once kept you warm in the bitter cold will have burned down to a gentle, steady ember of absolute self-respect. You will realize that their forgiveness is a currency you no longer accept. You have outgrown the economy of their validation. You see, acceptance isn't about letting them off the hook. It isn't about erasing the past or pretending the betrayal didn't leave a massive scar. The scar is there. It will always be there. But a scar is just a physical testament that the wound has closed. It means the bleeding has stopped. It means the body survived. You survived. And now, you get to live in the quiet aftermath of your own strength. There's a profound, unshakable peace in knowing that you did not compromise your heart. You loved fiercely. You gave generously. You walked through the absolute fires of betrayal. And you did not let it turn you into something bitter. You did not let their darkness extinguish your light. You protected your warmth. When they finally bow under the weight of their own regret, when they finally ask for the grace they once took for granted, you won't have to slam the door in their face. You won't have to shout or scream or demand answers. You will simply quietly let them go. You will leave them to the heavy, lonely consequences of their own choices, because your journey is no longer tied to their redemption. Your path stretches out ahead of you, bathed in the soft, golden light of a new morning. It is a path you carved with your own bare hands when no one else was looking. It is quiet, it is beautiful, and it is entirely yours. You do not need them to witness your victory. You are the victory. The air in the room is finally clear. The heavy, suffocating silence that used to crush you has become the very space where you breathe the easiest. It is a quiet world now, but it is a good one. It is safe. Thank you for sitting in the dark with me today, and for walking all the way through it into the light. I know exactly how heavy these burdens can be, and I want you to know that you don't ever have to carry them alone. I appreciate you sharing your time, your energy, and your real stories with me in this space. Until we speak again, take a deep breath, protect your peace, and remember, you were always enough.